As we enter our later years, especially after the age of 80, something subtle often begins to happen in the background of our relationships, something almost no one talks about out loud. Yet nearly everyone feels at some point, people begin to interact with us differently. Conversations become shorter, patience seems thinner, and even those who once loved spending hours with us gradually appear to slip away, not because they suddenly stopped caring, not because they no longer value our presence, but because of a series of quiet, unnoticed habits that become more common with age. Habits that slowly shape how people feel around us without us ever intending to create discomfort. And in this gentle reflection, we're going to talk honestly, respectfully, and compassionately about 7 of these habits so you can understand them, avoid them, and continue nurturing the kind of relationships that bring joy, connection, and dignity into your later years. One of the biggest habits that quietly pushes people away is the tendency to complain, more often than before, sometimes without even realizing it. Aging brings real challenges, aches, limitations, frustrations, changes in energy, changes in memory, rising costs, loneliness, and the feeling that the world is moving too fast. And expressing frustration is absolutely human, absolutely understandable, but when complaining becomes the default direction of every conversation, other people, especially younger ones, start to feel emotionally drained. Not because they don't care, but because they walk away carrying the weight of that heaviness, feeling like every interaction is less about connection and more about absorbing stress, and slowly, without confrontation, without explanation, they begin to distance themselves, often with guilt, replacing daily complaints with moments of appreciation, curiosity about the other person's day, or simply talking about pleasant topics creates a gentle shift that invites people back toward you, instead of pushing them away. Another habit older adults often slip into is repeating the same stories again and again, usually because certain memories feel comforting or because small memory lapses make it hard to remember if something was already shared. Younger people rarely say anything. They nod, smile politely, or subtly zone out. But repeated stories can make conversations feel predictable or draining for them, and over time, they stop asking questions or engaging deeply, adding new details, asking about their own memories, or pausing to reflect before. Sharing can refresh conversations and make people feel truly connected again. The third habit that quietly damages relationships is interrupting too quickly or correcting others excessively. Many seniors do this unintentionally because they want to share valuable information, correct small errors, or express strong opinions. But frequent interruptions or constant corrections make younger adults feel unheard or criticized, leading them to avoid deeper conversations. Practicing active listening, letting others finish, asking thoughtful questions, and allowing different perspectives to exist peacefully helps others feel respected and eager to talk to you again. Another subtle habit is speaking negatively about the younger generation, whether it's about their lifestyle, their technology use, their work habits, or their values. Although older adults often mean this as harmless commentary or playful teasing, younger people hear it as dismissal or disapproval. And over time, they begin to feel judged or unappreciated, offering genuine curiosity, asking how things work for them, and showing interest in their experiences instead of criticizing them makes people feel understood and respected. A fifth habit that pushes others away is holding on to outdated beliefs or refusing to adapt to new ways of doing things. Technology, communication styles, social norms, and even family dynamics change rapidly. And when older adults reject these changes or insist that the old way is the only right way, younger people often interpret it as stubbornness or unwillingness to grow. Being open to learning, even if it's difficult, shows flexibility and encourages people to stay patient and supportive rather than frustrated. The sixth habit that can create distance is unintentionally making people feel guilty by reminding them they don't visit enough, don't call enough, or don't spend as much time with you as they used to. These comments almost always come from a place of longing, not from anger, but guilt creates emotional pressure, and people subconsciously avoid situations that trigger guilt, instead expressing appreciation. Whenever someone visits or calls, even if it's less often than you'd like, creates a warm environment that makes them want to return more frequently. And finally, one of the most quietly damaging habits is losing interest in self-care, whether it's grooming, hygiene, dressing neatly, or keeping personal spaces tidy. These things understandably become harder with age, but when neglected, they can make younger people uncomfortable even though they don't want to say so. Maintaining basic hygiene, gentle grooming, and a sense of personal pride makes others feel comfortable, respectful, and eager to be around you. All 7 of these habits are not signs of failure or flaws. They are simply the natural side effects of aging. Stress, memory changes, physical limitations, and emotional shifts that come later in life. But the power lies in awareness, because the moment you start recognizing these patterns, you can soften them, reshape them, and redirect them in a way that brings people closer rather than pushing them away. Imagine a conversation where you ask a younger person about their interests, their work, their challenges, their dreams. Suddenly the entire energy changes. Because instead of feeling judged, drained, or obligated, they feel valued, respected, and appreciated. Imagine sharing stories not out of habit, but from a thoughtful place, adding wisdom, humor, or new reflections. People will lean in rather than drift away. Imagine speaking with warmth rather than complaint, with curiosity rather than criticism, with openness rather than resistance. Your presence becomes magnetic, comforting, inspiring. Respect flows both ways, and when older adults bring emotional intelligence, kindness, patience, and self-awareness into interactions, people of all ages, including children, grandchildren, neighbors, friends, and even strangers, feel drawn to them naturally. Aging does not have to mean loneliness, disconnection, or fading social bonds. It can be a time of stronger relationships, deeper conversations, and more meaningful connections. But it begins with understanding how small habits shape big experiences. When you let go of unnecessary complaining, when you avoid repeating stories too often, when you listen without interrupting, when you stop criticizing younger generations, when you stay open to learning, when you avoid guilt-based communication, and when you continue taking care of yourself with dignity, something beautiful happens. People come closer. Conversations last longer. Visits become more frequent. Laughter becomes more natural. And relationships grow again. Aging is not the end of connection. It is the beginning of wisdom-based connection, and you have the power to shape the way others experience you, not by pretending to be someone different, but by embodying the calm, wise, gentle, resilient version of yourself that has always been there. Even small changes, choosing kindness over complaint, choosing listening over lecturing, choosing curiosity over criticism, choosing gratitude over guilt, create a ripple effect that transforms the way others feel in your presence. And that is the secret to being someone people love being around. Even after 80, not perfection, not youthfulness, not pretending to be modern or fast-paced, but offering emotional warmth, understanding, humility, respect, and a willingness to make every interaction lighter, kinder, and more meaningful. These habits are not about blame. Every human develops their own quirks over time, but about reclaiming control over the quality of your relationships, creating a life where people seek your presence, not out of obligation, but out of genuine affection. And when you choose this path, you discover something powerful. Age may change the body, but mindset, self-awareness, and kindness keep the heart forever young. For more videos, subscribe my channel.